Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Strike the Blood episode 22. This episode just kind of finishes off the whole Alchemist return arc, um, and it's actually kind of simple with the exception of one part of the episode. Um, we learn in the beginning of the episode that the person who was heading towards Himuragi's ship, the ship that her class was on, it was both Ko and the Wise Man. The Wise Man was with Ko in the form of a skull. And we see Ko on that ship. We see a bunch of corpses. He killed a bunch of people who were on the crew, I guess. And he mentions that his body is deteriorating, and he wants the Wise Man to give him the other half of his body, which you can assume he lost 5 or 6 years ago, or whenever it was, he attacked the orphanage. And you can assume that the promise he was talking about last week involves that as well. Now, the next part of this episode involves Nina and Kojo. Nina sees a bunch of like bones and fragments of people and things that were a part of the Wise Man but escaped it, or they got separated, I guess would be the best way to describe it. And she tries to take those fragments and kind of reconstruct her body, um, which she does do, but not in her original form. She has to continue to look like Asagi, with the exception of her chest. But that allows Asagi to actually stay back on Itagami Island and not get involved, not have her body be in harm's way during this. Um, so yeah, cool. Now Himuragi, since Ko is on there, he was using his powers, and on the boat, I mean, he was on the ship and he was using his powers. Both Himuragi and Cannon sensed this, so they kind of went after him to figure out what it is to figure out what it is that they felt, and they end up running into each other, and then Ko ends up showing up, and Cannon recognizes Ko, obviously. She also mentions that she she does this thing that you see often where a person cares more about they're willing to risk their own safety and well-being in order to help out their friends. So she decides that she'll put herself in harm's way so that Himuragi and the others can be saved, since Ko is after her. So she gets herself separated from Himuragi on purpose. Then Ko disappears, and now Himuragi's separated from all of them. And yeah, I mean they switch back and forth a lot in this episode. I think after that we went back to Kojo and Asagi and Nina, and that's when she starts to reconstruct her body, actually, and Natsuki shows up. Right, she explains what it is that Ko is after, which is to get Cannon or Himuragi. Himuragi would work too, and use one of them as a sacrifice in order to resurrect the Wise Man, so that the Wise Man can fulfill the promise that it made to Ko, and he can get his body back. Um, well, she didn't say all that, but that's what he's trying to do. And she explains parts of that to Kojo. Um, Now, Kojo, obviously being the person that he is, wants to go to where the ship is as quickly as possible. So Mafoli sends an airship. And Sayaka and Himuragi's teacher show up to there's a little bit of comedy there, but the main purpose of that was to give Kojo Himuragi's lance so that she could use it once they get to the ship. Um, and yeah, we switch again, alright, to Himuragi, Cannon, Ko. Ko attacked Cannon pretty much told Ko that he was being deceived. Yeah, he was being deceived by the Wise Man. The Wise Man isn't going to fulfill his promise in turning him back into a human, aka giving him the other half of his body. And the reason he's not going to fulfill that promise is because Ko was never human to begin with. He's a homunculus. Alright? So Ko doesn't like that very much, and he attacks, but Himuragi shows up to protect her, right on time. Then he attacks again. This time Kojo and Nina show up, right on time. They each attack once. Um, Kojo actually used the familiar too. Now that I think of it, he used the familiar, which surprised me. I mean, it's not like he used Regulus armor. Well, he used it later on, but it's not like at that particular point in time he didn't use Regulus armor or anything like that. But still, you'd think you're on a ship with students. Maybe you shouldn't use a familiar here, but whatever, whatever. Um, Nina ended up after that explaining to Ko exactly that he is a homunculus and all this stuff, and he's kind of just starts to lose his spirit, kind of, and the skull starts talking and being. That's when we get confirmation that the skull is in fact the wise man, and the reason he went after the ship actually isn't because of Cannon or Himeragi. It's because the ocean, seawater, has precious metals in it, which can be used to create Wiseman's blood, which could be used to resurrect him, and that's what happens. He resurrects. He attacks the ship. The students were feeling it too. They were like, was shaking and all that. They actually felt it too. No one went out to go. No, none of the students, none of the teachers or anything went out to go see what was going on. But I guess they just thought it was some really bad turbulence or something. I don't know. I don't know what was going on in their heads, but whatever. The wise man attacks, and it was a pretty large scale attack actually. He turned the he was attacking the entire ship and trying to turn it into silver and destroy it, but Kocho kind of saves them by turning the ship and the people on it into mist so that they're not affected by it. Kocho himself though, since I guess he couldn't affect himself by it as well. How could he not? He can turn himself into mist, can he? Whatever. Apparently he can't. He couldn't avoid the attack because he was turning the ship and the rest of the people to mist. So he ended up turning into metal, or at least being covered by it. And that's when Nagisa shows. Well, not It's the person controlling Nagisa. That's the person that showed up. She used ice magic to freeze the ship, so whoever it is controlling her can use ice magic. But she kisses Kojo and she forces one of his familiars to awaken, Sadal Melik, something like that. Sadal Melik, Albus, Sadal Melik Albus. She forces it to awaken, but since it doesn't acknowledge Kojo yet, Himeragi has to go and like give him her blood. It actually led to some comedy because Cannon saw how Himeragi acted and she was talking about how adult it was and stuff, so that was actually kind of funny. But yeah, Kojo comes back, usual. It's the usual. Then Wise Man and Ko show up again. Kojo and Himeragi did their this is my fight. No, senpai, this is our fight. It's that line that they're contractually obligated to say in every arc in the final fight. That's and it's after that's like your typical strike the blood fight. Don't we? Kojo summoned like all of his familiars, including Sadal Melik Albus, and Himeragi took out Ko easy. Sadal Melik Albus took out Wiseman. It was Sadal Malik is female. I thought that was interesting. So far, all we've seen are like animals, but now we're animals and beasts. Now we're seeing like not a human familiar, but like human-looking familiar. That was clearly female, and her power was interesting too. She has the power to heal by turning back a person's time. So it's like what Aya Tokuyugi did to Natsuki, except not really. Kind of, but not really. It's like you have save data, and you're forced to go back to the save data. Like, that's what it's like in Pokemon, you save before you fight the gym leader in the Elite Four, and you get beat, so you turn the game off, and then you continue right back where you were, and it's like you weren't beaten. Alright, it's save data. It's the same power that a certain character that I really like has, that character being in a certain anime that is going to start airing April 4th. that character may or may not be on my banner and on my channel art or on my page, or that person might be on my avatar as well. Just saying. Alright, just saying. Not kind of. It's a spoiler, but it's not like the anime is going to cover that anyway. But still, yeah, heal by turning back a person's time. Going back to the last save point, essentially. And that's actually it for the episode, really. I mean, this arc was probably my least favorite of them all, because it's just like, it just felt like filler almost. Like, it didn't really progress like, there was no real character development for anyone. The only thing that changed is that Kojo got another familiar. I mean, other than that, there's no real character development for anybody. I mean, I guess you could say Himeragi towards the end, but I mean, not really. I mean, like, I just didn't care that much about the way that I thought I didn't. As this arc was going on, I thought that they were going to use the last 2 episodes for this arc and to like make us care more, but they didn't. They just ended it here, and I was just like, well, I don't really. I don't know. I just didn't care. I mean, I'm sure it's been clear. If you've watched the review to this point, it's been clear. I'm not exactly energetic right now. Like I just I just didn't really care that much. This is my least favorite Strike the Blood arc. It felt really random. No one really. I mean, we didn't get a girl that was added to the harem, so so I can't really the story didn't really progress. Like, nothing happened. Like, if you erase this arc, can you really say that you wouldn't be missing out? Like, no. I mean, with the exception of Kojo getting another familiar, if someone were to skip over this arc, they wouldn't even know that they skipped over the arc, because nothing, like, it's almost filler. It's just the new familiar. That's about it. No one gets any character development or anything, really. So, I mean, on an episode-by-episode basis, it's not bad. I mean, I guess I'd give this episode a 6.5 out of 10, because the second half, like, towards the end there. I mean, the part with Nagisa was really good, and that was like, I guess, your story progression for the arc. But I mean, that alone, I mean, I expect more from that, from an entire arc, you know. And in this episode, that was really all there was. The rest of it was just, you know, your typical Strike the Blood stuff. You know, this is my fight. No, it's our fight. One shot. Well, not one shot, but might as well be. I mean, kind of. You know, like, it was just like that kind of thing. So, I mean, yeah, I'll give this episode a 6.5 out of 10. The stuff with Nagisa was the best part, but I mean, it's my least favorite arc in the series. Next week they're starting a little mini arc, I guess, Akatsuki's Kingdom, and they were hinting at Himeragi leaving. Like, during the preview, she was saying, you know, Senpai, what would you do if I disappeared, or you know, something along those lines. So, that should be interesting. That should be character development for both Kojo and Himeragi, but probably only them. I don't see anyone else being incredibly relevant in a 2-episode arc. So, because it only has 2 episodes left. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm just talking and rambling. That's it for this review, you guys. This episode gets a 6.5 out of 10. This arc was just not that good. Yeah, it's my least favorite one in the series so far. So yeah, that's it, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.